Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. If you've ever tried to get a credit limit increase from Capital One and felt like they were guarding their credit line vault like Fort Knox, then you're not alone. Capital One has built a reputation for having a tight fist, even when you've done everything right. You've paid on time, you've kept utilization low, and proven that you're responsible. However, sometimes it's not what you've done, it's what you've said. Or more specifically, it's what you wrote on your credit limit increase application. Today, we're diving into the application itself, question by question, to reveal the 6 biggest mistakes that you can make that might sabotage your chances of getting more credit. These are the responses you absolutely want to avoid, and I'll show you what you should do instead. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. The easiest way to ask for a higher credit limit is through your online account portal. You can log in using the desktop browser and click Request Credit Line Increase in the I Want To section of the settings, and you can see an illustration of that here. You can do this on the desktop version of the Capital One website or the mobile app via your profile page, but for today, I'll be showing you everything from the desktop version using your web browser. Let's start with the very first question on the Capital One application, your income. And I'll tell you right now, this one can make or break your request. Here's what you don't want to do. Do not underestimate or lowball your income. Too many people make the mistake of only listing their salary from their 9-to-5 job. But Capital One and most credit issuers don't just care about your base income, they care about any income source that you have to provide. So if you're driving for Uber, you're babysitting, you're selling digital products, collecting dividends, or you're getting regular support payments from someone else, all of that counts as additional income. Capital One even lets you include shared household income. As long as someone else's money is regularly used to pay for expenses, you can add all of this. In most cases, they are not going to request any financial documentation, but what they will do is use this to estimate how much credit line you can actually handle. And here's the general rule of thumb. Lenders will often extend 10% of your reported annual income as your credit limit, give or take. So if you say that you make $50,000, you're signaling that you might qualify for up to $5,000. But if your true income, including all of the money that you're making or shared household income, is more like $70,000 and you're only reporting 50, you just left a ton of money on the table and potential credit line that you could have gotten. You don't need to over exaggerate, but don't leave out legitimate sources of income. The next section will ask you about your employment status, but this is another area where a bad answer can cost you big time. Let me be blunt. If you want to get approved for more credit, you should never select unemployed or self-employed. That is a guaranteed red flag, and Capital One sees unemployment as uncertainty, and they also see self-employment as risky. And that's like the one thing that banks and lenders don't like to see: financial unpredictability. If you're a student, a retiree, or a stay-at-home parent receiving regular income, there are smarter ways to answer this question. And listen, if you're self-employed, you don't need to shoot yourself in the foot by selecting that option if your business pays you like a W-2 employee. Here's what I do. I form my business as an S-Corp, and I use a payroll service like ADP to pay myself a regular salary. That way, even though I own my own business, I can select employed and back it up with my paycheck stubs if anyone needs documentation. That instantly reduces my risk in the eyes of lenders, and I highly recommend you do the exact same thing. It's a great way to legitimize your income and show consistency. If you want to know how to do that, I have an entire video that shows you exactly how to create your own paycheck stubs using ADP. The bottom line is this: if you have a way to demonstrate that you're earning consistent money, whether through a job, a business, or both, frame your answer to reflect that stability. Next up is your monthly housing expense. Now, this one might feel minor, but this is actually a major factor in your approval odds. And here's where people go wrong. They list the total rent or mortgage, not what they personally pay. So if you live with someone and you're paying $2,500 in rent, you're splitting that with a roommate. You shouldn't be listing $2,500 on your application. You should be listing your portion, which would be $1,250. Why? Because Capital One is going to take that number and compare it against your income to calculate something called your debt to income ratio. If your housing costs appear to eat a big chunk of your income, they'll assume you have little left over to pay your credit card balances. That will raise a red flag, and lenders do not like red flags. When you list your share of the rent or mortgage, it lowers your DTI ratio and makes you look less risky. It also gives you the impression that you have more available income to cover future spending and payments, which is exactly what Capital One wants to see. Now we get to the spending section. Capital One asks how much you plan to spend on the card monthly, and this is where a lot of people try to play it safe by saying they won't spend much, maybe $50 or $100, but guess what? That is a huge mistake. Credit card companies don't give out higher limits so you can let them collect dust. They want to see that you're going to use the card, and that's how they make money, through interchange fees every time that you swipe. If you tell Capital One that you barely plan to use the card, they will not be very motivated to extend more credit. It's like asking for a new car when you barely drive the one that you have. So here's my advice. Aim to say that you'll spend around 30% of your current credit card limit each month. That shows you're active but still responsible. So if your limit is $1,000, you might say that you spend around $300 monthly. Not only does that align with the best practice for utilization, but it also makes you seem more appealing to Capital One. From my experience, when issuers see consistent usage in the 30 to 50% range paired with on-time payments, they're more likely to approve future increases even without you asking. The next field will ask you to input your desired credit limit. And too often, many people lowball this out of fear. They think if they ask for too much, they'll be denied. But I want to be super clear on this. Asking for more doesn't hurt your chances. It gives the bank more room to negotiate. If you currently have a $10,000 limit, asking for $11,000 might feel safe, but it's leaving money on the table. Meanwhile, asking for $25,000, even if it feels bold, gives Capital One a chance to meet you halfway. Let's say their system is willing to give you a $3,000 increase. If you ask for $25,000, they'll just counter with what they're comfortable with. But if you only ask for $12,000, they might just give you $1,000 or $2,000, and now you've unintentionally limited yourself. My recommendation: always aim high, but be aware of the max for your card. The Venture X can go up to around $30,000 for the average person, while the Quicksilver kind of tops out around $25,000. And if you know that, that's what I would request. You're not going to be penalized for being ambitious here. Towards the end of the form, you'll be asked why you're requesting the credit limit increase in the first place, and this is one of the most misunderstood sections of the entire process. You'll be given several options like, I have an upcoming one-time large purchase, my current limit doesn't meet my long-term spending needs, I expect higher expenses over the next few months. But here's the golden rule. Always choose the option that says you expect higher expenses over the next few months. Now, why choose this option? Because Capital One isn't looking for someone who needs a temporary bump. They want consistent card usage over time. So if you say it's for a one-time purchase, that tells them you'll use the limit one time and then you'll probably stop. But when you say your expenses are increasing soon and for multiple months, that tells them you'll actually use the limit right away, but you'll keep using it. And that's exactly what they want. More usage means more fees, means more profit for them. And just like that, you've told the bank exactly what they want to hear without exaggerating or guessing. So let's recap the 6 things you never want to write on your Capital One credit limit increase application. Number 1, do not lowball your income. List all sources that qualify. Number 2, do not mark yourself as unemployed or even self-employed. Use a payroll solution if you are self-employed. That way you can just list that your company is your employer. Number 3, don't claim the full rent or mortgage if you split it with someone else. Number 4, don't say you barely use the card. They want to see a lot of activity because they make money from that. Number 5, don't ask for a tiny increase. Ask for something big. They'll counter if they need to. Number 6, don't pick the wrong reason for the increase. Use something like higher expenses over the next few months. That is the best choice for you. And keep in mind, this whole thing is part science and part psychology. Credit card companies are running algorithms behind the scenes, analyzing your application, your spending history, and your risk profile. You don't want to give them any reason to hesitate. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe for more credit tips and financial strategies just like this. I've got videos coming 4 times a week, proven methods to build your credit, to boost your funding, and to just grow your overall financial life. And if you guys want to see a video on how I was able to triple my credit limit limit with Capital One in just a few months using smart strategies across multiple cards, then let me know in the comments below. I can break down exactly everything that I did in order to do that in case you guys want that information. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day.